All
Judge
right.
Green Light.
I'm calling this meeting to order at 5:06 PM. And I need a motion to consider the proposed agenda.
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
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 All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. Next, I'll go to the consideration of the minutes, and that's the March 25th meeting. I may be the last in the group to remember that there was no April meeting because of a lot of complications. So I need a motion to consider those minutes.
I make a motion.
Thank you. And a second.
Second.
Any comments, changes, additions, deletions?
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, that's a good one. So presentation, we have none. Correspondence, we have any?
No.
Okay. Ready for the treasurer's report, Mr. Treasurer?
Sure. Cash in the checking account, cash balance in the People's United Bank checking account as of April 30th, 2019 was $338,202.17. Revenues for the month of April 2019 include interest earnings of $9.67, about to change soon. Expenses paid for the month of April 2019 totaled $18,514.12. Motion to
Okay.
approve the
All right.
minutes.
Anybody have any questions?
Treasurer's report?
Any thoughts? I have one question. I didn't look carefully through this. I should have, but I didn't. It was just dawned on me.
Mhm.
Did we pay out our share of the grant, or whatever it is?
No,
for Second
we,
Street?
we gave 200, we didn't get the bill yet. We
Okay.
gave
So that's
$250
not in
for her to submit,
Mhm.
and then, the rest of the 6,000 will be upon receipt of an invoice.
Makes sense. All right. Let's, let me get the motion to, move forward. I need somebody to,
We have one AB, sorry, Anthony Barisi.
I move.
okay.
And
Jim Farley
James
moves.
Farley, okay,
Second.
got it.
Tony's the second. All right, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, we're good with that. Committee reports, there are none this evening. Old business, I don't believe we have any, none on here, I can't think of any. So we'll go to new business. And the first one, A, which is 2719 resolution, is consideration of tenant Woolworth. Is that what they call themselves, revitalization?
That's their.
Okay, fine, I guess I did read that. I'll ask you to explain quickly, and/or Dick, and I only have one question after you do, and that is, are they buying all of the previous owner?
As we understand it, yes.
Okay, so they're just taking over the whole thing and it's changing names.
Business should
Or it's not changing.
continue, I think the intent is that the business continue in its substantially in its
In the same
current
form.
current
Just
form.
give us a synopsis then, thank you, Dick, of who they are.
It is a gentleman from West Hampton, and my understanding is, as you saw in the application, there was no previous experience running an operation like this, but they intend on keeping as many of the employees that are there now and hiring additional employees, but as far as I know, the operations are going to remain the same.
Do they have other places, if we know?
No, this is the first
Oh,
time
this is the first time around?
venture for him.
Okay, that's really where I was going.
Just as a way of
Yeah.
background, the agency approves these tenants not in their financial capacity or their business capacity, but for the type of use that's in the downtown area. When the original agreements were put together, there was concern about tattoo parlors, tobacconists, taxi stands, other uses associated with urban blight. So it's at that level that the use is examined, and the use having been found appropriate by the previous tenant. And the second purpose of the agency's involvement is to be sure that they're aware of the agency's involvement with the property and the reporting requirements, and that they agree that they will make the reporting requirements as necessary so we can make our reports to Albany as we're required to make them.
Thanks, I should have known that, but they need a refresher. Okay, any other thoughts? And so let's go for the resolution, need a motion?
Motion.
I'll second.
Second, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. B is, where you going tomorrow?
Yes.
It's, the annual Economic Development Conference at Cooperstown. I did read the agenda, hopefully you all did, looks pretty darn
I know,
full
I'm
of
gonna have a
stuff.
hard time
I
choosing
almost wanted to go,
sessions.
but then I said, well, Cooperstown.
It's such
no.
a hike on Memorial Day
plus,
weekend.
I know we can depend on you to
Yes.
get it right and tell us.
It's not quite the weekend.
I drive back Friday night.
Oh,
Yes.
Lord.
Never under 8 hours have I gotten home.
You better come over there.
I
Take
actually
the
take the
ferry back.
ferry, I do, but it's still,
That's what I
by the
would
time we
think.
get out of there, up, the morning session, and I get on the road, even if I skirt out a little early, it just never fails. I mean, the traffic starts Thursday.
Right, I'm gonna, just a warning, bit of warning, book your ferry, because I was up there
Oh,
for a
yeah.
meeting, and I forgot to book my ferry at 9 o'clock in the morning.
I might not be able to get in now.
The next ferry I could get was 10:15 at night, just to give you a heads up.
Yeah, I may have already missed that opportunity, but I'll give it a shot. Oh.
Okay. We need to approve this, proposal. I move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
But it was 80 degrees up there yesterday.
Extraordinary that today.
I know.
Very nice.
I was shocked it was warmer up there than here.
I don't know, it's hard to tell. My son and family live in Rochester, the weather's actually been warmer more days than not than here.
Wow.
In the winter. Okay, next is consideration of the Long Island Business Development Corporation 50th Annual Conference, wow.
Yeah, I don't
Tell us
have an
about that.
agenda for that one yet, but,
That's
normally.
my only question.
And
so-
normally, we wait until September or August to authorize this conference, but because it's the 50th and there's limited seating, I wanted to get approval ahead of time. I don't know what the refund opportunity is.
Well, I read it, and it looked pretty good,
Okay.
unless you do it like the night before.
I'm sure it's going to be a good conference, but I can't tell you what's on the agenda.
Well,
I
I think
do
we
believe
ought to
that-
approve this.
Howard Zemsky will be the guest speaker, though, who just stepped down from Head of Economic Development for the state of New York.
I think we should consider this, subject to looking later on at the agenda. Okay?
Sure.
In other words, you're in, you can, if you've done it, or if you're ready to done it, which I assume that's true, to book your lodging and whatnot, cool.
Well, okay, I'll look into it, because normally, at this one, we actually book the lodging through the Long Island Business Development Council. The New York State Economic Development Council, I book myself. It's different.
All
So
right.
I'll just look into it then.
Do whatever you have to do. Assuming we pass this. Any questions?
So we're gonna,
All those in favor? Oh, wait a minute, we're gonna make a, it's subject to the agenda. We'd like to see that.
so approval subject to the agenda, so you'd
Assuming
like to
that-
change the
assuming
resolution?
everybody agrees with
I
it.
can tell you what.
Could I suggest that you approve it and just ask Tracy to provide the agenda to everyone? Is that adequate?
Fine with me.
Because I think you want to see because she needs to know that she can bind the booking, I think is the problem.
That was the
Is that
reason.
it?
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't explain that better.
Strike that, we'll do it that way, so the resolution stands as it is.
With the understanding that you'll provide the agenda as soon as it's available.
Okay. Any questions? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, that's passed.
You need a motion? Yeah.
Yes.
Anthony and
I
James?
didn't do that, did I?
Okay.
Sorry. All those in favor, aye. No, we don't have a motion.
Good.
Okay, cool. executive director report?
I expected actually to have a presentation this month, but, haven't gotten that application yet for the luxury apartments downtown. We are working, speaking and sitting with developers for the TOD site, assuming that is
Does
what.
everybody know what that is?
The transportation?
The transit-oriented development.
I'm only asking because it took me a long time to get it straight in my mind, what TOD stands for. Okay.
The Long Island IDAs got together about a week ago and are considering a collaborative marketing effort once again, because I think I briefed the board once before that we had considered it, but it was very expensive. And how are we going to divide it up? We've come up with a new idea in collaboration with National Grid, who we would apply for the grant as our agency is applying for the grant, as a collaboration with Discover Long Island, who would sort of administer this marketing effort, and all the IDAs would pitch in a small amount or an equitable amount. They do understand our position and our size compared to the rest of the agencies on the island. They're prepared to sort of support us regardless, but they were looking for $10,000 for each agency, and I said right off the bat, I don't know about this year. I have to see what we have, but next year we could budget for it, depending on if they're doing this 18-19. And the initial phase would be to add a page to Discover Long Island. They just came out with a rebranding that was Be Long Island. So the new executive director had every intent and came to the Long Island Business Development Council's conference last year, actually. She was a guest speaker, and talked about how important doing business, being business friendly on Long Island is to the tourism industry. So she's very excited about this effort. Of course, the devil's in the details, but we're working on that, and it would be first a page on her website, then it would be some PR, and I forget the third one. But I will get more details. Actually, this week when we go up there, we're having a meeting.
You got a question on this, is this a, so they're looking for $10,000 from every IDA? Okay, is this a matching grant?
Depending on how, yes.
Okay, so it's a match.
So we're assuming 5 agencies are participating at the moment, and then there may be more, so we'll reduce it.
So the potential is for $100,000 budget, 50 from
Right.
PSC&G, okay. So,
Well, I didn't attend the meeting because I was at that
Okay.
seminar. I'm assuming, I don't think the budget is more, but it could be. I don't know if the ultimate budget is more. But I think they were looking definitively for the IDAs to at least meet the match at the moment.
I think it's an interesting idea. I just wonder, will the state be involved? I mean, it's
Yeah.
a high cost of living place to attract businesses to, and the state, I would look at the results from New York State is a good place to do business. You know, New York State.
We're marketing Long Island.
And I understand that, but I'd be interested to see the results of that. I know we're marketing Long Island, which is also not cheap to, if we can see what their plan is before we, it would be good to see.
Well, of course.
Because I'd be real curious to where they're gonna market this. Because there's so much competition among states.
They did come up with a geographical area, and I wanna say it's a northeastern region, where we draw most from, Pennsylvania, Jersey.
Well, here's the problem. I mean, Pennsylvania is taking businesses out of New York, and we're going to
Yes.
Pennsylvania to say, come to New York.
Right.
And so that's why, to do this, to really do this right, you might look at states, and I'm hypothetically, like Massachusetts, maybe it's as expensive, more expensive. You're not gonna get people from Pennsylvania to come to New York to pay more money. That's my point. So that's, I get a little bit concerned about the marketing effort. How do you get people to say, come to this restaurant, it's twice as much money for the same food? That's just,
There's a very interesting article in this weekend's Wall Street Journal, I don't know if you had a chance to look at that, it's an article about what they call site selectors. And these fellows are basically really, I'm talking about really top level, are they lobbyists, are they not lobbyists? They tend to be in law firms and accounting firms, and some of them have their own firms, but very serious representatives for businesses. Typically, take a large corporation, ABC, they'd call up one of these site selectors and say, find a new place for us. And we need a new place for, X thousand square feet, or for employees like this, or, environment like that. And these fellows go off across the country. The article is very much directed towards what these states and towns end up paying out in terms of incentives, or what they arrange in incentives, even though the focus of the article was upon this very select group of site selectors. I could circulate the article, but it's a very different way of looking at how you approach it, because some of the states, they simply go straight to these site selectors and simply say, when you've got a company that wants to locate, pitch to us. And whether it's too expensive or not too expensive, comparatively speaking, and what the incentives may or may not be. Heck, I don't know if there was a site selector involved with Amazon in Queens or not. For all I know, there probably was. But it's a very interesting article on this whole area.
So this is a lot bigger than just go to the commercial broker in your area,
Totally.
because you're looking at it
These guys are national.
countrywide. Yeah.
they do demographic studies. I mean, when a CVS plops down, that is all there because of science. It's not, let's try this location. It's all demographics. They already know what they're gonna get out of that area. And then when those people die off and it's younger people, guess what? Goodbye. So at any rate, you see that in the city, et cetera. But look, it's a great idea. How, I get concerned about whether, that's why I say to really get engaged with the state a little bit, because it's just, no. It's tough, it's just it's a marketing idea, but it's tough to get people to come to the same restaurant to pay twice as much. And that's why
We are engaged with the state as an economic development unit, along with the Builders Institutes, et cetera,
Yeah.
fighting some of the legislation
get
that's
you, yeah.
currently being proposed that will, in our opinion, annihilate doing business in New York. I mean, the prevailing wage is a huge one.
Sure.
And they're passing legislation up there so rapidly that just is going to hinder doing business.
From a Riverhead perspective, I mean, I don't know enough perhaps, but how many different initiatives are there in town to promote Riverhead? I mean, I presume the community development has some kind of initiatives to promote Riverhead. We do. Anybody else trying to actively promote Riverhead? I didn't know whether there's sort of like
Well, I think your local chamber and
chamber, okay?
your brokers, I don't know what the bid does, but, it's limited for sure.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, our agency, we weren't very proactive because our largest industrial park is tied up.
Yeah.
So, marketing, I mean, in addition to our office being overwhelmed, I don't need to outright spend money on marketing necessarily. We need more PR, and you need branding, but to keep it going.
Well, that brings up a corollary to this is that 10,000 per each one?
Agency,
Hmm?
per agency.
Yeah, and there's 5, right?
Well, there's 5 that were willing to participate at the moment. I think there's 8 on Long Island, so we know one probably won't, and they were still seeking out the other ones.
All right. They have a lot more potential territory than we do. and they're
That is
bigger.
true. Mm-hmm.
So we need to consider that,
Mhm.
obviously. This is only the talking stage.
Yes.
If somebody like 555 goes into EPCAL and even starts with one small high-tech company, it becomes easier. But No, seriously, I mean, if you watch
I
how
think you
these,
have
how these,
somebody who's-
these places grow, they grow based on, you know, the needs of the mother. You know, you put somebody manufacturing something high-tech, and now you need software designers, now you need manufacturers, and,
Oh, I agree with you.
you know, that's how those things
Triple
grow
Y doesn't get it,
organically,
that's
but
what we tied up.
I don't know what we're marketing.
Well, it really, the seed was more of started as the PR piece because there's been such IDA bashing in the press, and we wanted to get our real stories out there. So
Okay,
success
that's-
stories are going to be a part of this whole plan locally as
whole
well as,
different-
we're gonna encompass as much as we can.
That's a whole different ballgame. You know, now it's a whole different thing.
For everybody
Like I
else,
said, the
let's-
devil's in the details which haven't been hashed out.
Okay,
Let's
Anybody
find
else
out.
got any thoughts,
yeah.
questions?
Let's just find out more.
All right. One thing I think you all know, but just in case, in my experience here, Tracy's worked with all of the local IDAs very well. And I get to observe that through what she tells me, and also in seeing her at these gatherings, and how much these IDAs work together, which I find may not be true in all counties.
No, I don't, I can't speak for outside of, Suffolk County is really tight. And we've embraced Nassau County as well, and I think that relationship is bonding stronger
Glad to hear that.
also. But I can't brag enough about my colleagues, because they've supported me and this agency so much, given my limited resources.
Well, you've done the same.
Yes, whenever I could.
Well,
Mhm.
that's a really good thing. Anything else?
I put in your packets the Empire Zone report, which I sent to the county. There's no action necessary regarding the report. I just wanted to provide it to you because we do have a contract with the town of Riverhead, which will expire in '21. I have to actually go over the contract and see the last payment is in '20, but I think our contract ends the end of '21. I'm going to double check that.
Yeah, just make sure that we
I was
have-
reading it
there's no
today and I'm like, does that
expectations.
say that?
Make sure there's no expectations that we continue to do that
Will do.
when the money runs out. Although that would be perfect if they just sunset it at the same time.
Well, at the same time, Empire State Development, there was legislation passed in 2018 that, it gets confusing. So there was a section of an Empire Zone certified business that was Empire Enterprise Zone, something like that. It was an additional certification, and it was another 10 years in some cases. Well, those qualified Empire Zone enterprise, anybody who was outside of that authorization period, the state decided they no longer were required to report. So that actually reduced our number quite a bit. We only have 19 companies left in the program, and one of those did a voluntary decertification, and one remains unsubmitted, and I send out emails, but it's up to the state to go after them to see if they'll submit their report, so.
Who did a voluntary decertification?
Many of them do if their benefits run out, and they,
Oh.
Eastern Wholesale Fence.
I saw that.
Some companies their benefits are over, they're just afraid to decertify for lack of knowledge. It's amazing how many of the people that I deal with aren't in, communication with their own accountants, and because they claim this, they claim these tax credits on their returns. So I'll be speaking to the bookkeeper, but she's not aware of if they're still claiming credits, and I said, you gotta go to your returns, you need to find out this page, blah, blah, blah. If you're still claiming credits, you don't wanna decertify. And so they're just like, I'm not gonna decertify, and they let it go another year.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Our pilot should be coming in for the second half. If you all received the school board flyer, it noted the pilot payments anticipated for next year increased by 40%, So I Facebooked it anyway to,
Good.
to remind the citizens that that 1.6 million is not part of their tax levy, but the school still gets the money. So trying to get the PR there that pilots are a good thing for you as a taxpayer in Riverhead. It's 1.6 million.
So we're finally now moving the schools up each year with pilot payments, and also those who don't owe as much, or don't have the abatements as much, and it'll just keep growing. Even
Well,
though
that's just that we
even
brought
though
in
some
more
won't be
tax
done.
revenue.
Yeah, well, that's
I
pretty
mean,
much it.
John Wesley alone was $75,000 a year, you know, right off the bat, that the town wasn't getting,
Good,
and that's it.
all right.
I'm glad you posted that. I think
Yeah.
that's smart. I think that should be on the landing page of our website too.
Okay.
You know, when people go there, they should see that immediately, you know, so that, because it's all economic, you could explain what's done and it doesn't matter, but when you see the numbers, it's all people care about.
And as soon as I get, Tom's signature tonight after the meeting, the final document will be submitted for the grant, and we'll find out if we got that for marketing, which would be good.
Good. I'll just run over to your place.
Okay, great.
That's it, so, anybody have any other business?
No.
All right, then it's time to adjourn. I need a motion to adjourn.
And just for the public's sake, the board is going to adjourn and then go into executive session?
Yes.
Just to discuss some litigation, there won't be any questions of the board to resolve any issues, so there's no need to reconvene to take any action. There's no action required.
Okay, thanks. So, all those in favor of adjourn?
I move to
I'll-
adjourn.
Thank you,
Second.
James.
Second,
I'm sorry,
You did that, but then I
I did
interrupted.
it again. That's
And
all right.
Anthony?
All right, so all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're out of the IDA meeting.